last night that I had said went down to the wire, but it was I thought it was a phenomenal game, and it was a 1-2 punch. You texted me, right when the pick six happened, and Miami goes up 14-0. And Ohio State struggled to claw their way back. They eventually did until Miami scores another touchdown after Ohio State kind of let them do it. And I will say, I thought I saw one of the smartest moves a coach made toward the end of that game, and that was Ryan Day, letting them score, keeping that timeout. It opened up an opportunity to win that game rather than just letting them kneel it out. Now, I don't know why Miami just didn't take a knee at the goal line, but
well, one, Miami's historically known to not do a good job with time management. We see Georgia Tech from last season, which was one of the most crazy endings to a football game I've ever watched. You said it was going to go down to the end. I called the 1-2 punch. If Miami came out with a 1-2 punch, and I even said, I don't necessarily know that it'll be 14-0, but I could see them going up 10-0, and then will Ohio State. That pick six reminded me of one of the greatest pick sixes I've ever seen in my life. I was in Neyland Stadium. Alabama hadn't beat Tennessee for 7 consecutive years. They go to do a quick out. Our guy, I don't even remember who it was, picks it off and starts running. There's nothing but green grass and checkerboard in front of him. The band starts playing Rammer Jammer while he's still at the 30-yard line. So it was amazing. But it's going back to last night. That was all of last year. And Miami beat Ohio State on offense. They beat Ohio State on defense. They beat Ohio State on the kicking game, special teams. They beat Ohio State in every absolute point you can make in a football game.
Yeah, I got to agree with you 100%, Richie. When you're talking about that pick six, that play when it was live, I thought the guy was offsides. I really did.
Oh, yeah.
Or even the defensive end, I thought he may have been offsides. But if you don't think that was a case of that cornerback watching some film, watching those two wide receivers for Ohio State line up, he sees the guy going motion. He said, bam, this is a play. I'm going to jump it. And he jumped it. Just think if that would not have been that RPO that they were running, okay, and they just threw it downfield, that corner would have been made to look stupid. But he knew that play was coming as soon as those guys lined up.
And when you're I've heard stories. I've never played football at any kind of major level. If you count middle school as a major level, I've heard stories of guys that would watch like the foot of an offensive lineman or a wide receiver, and they knew that if their foot was arched, out to the left, they're running, because every time they run, his foot, and they won't say anything until like after the game and stuff. I am sure, like you said, he watched film and he knew when they line up like that and the quarterback has his back turned at a 32-degree angle, or there's going to be some sort of little
that other guy goes in motion.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that play is set up as an RPO and it's set up as a almost like a pick play, which I know are illegal in college football, but it is a rub.
Right. Yep.
So that other receiver can go inside. He throws the football inside. Receiver catches it, goes downfield. That defensive back knew it was coming, saw it coming, jumped it. I'm like, oh, he's offsides. Where's the flag? No, he was not offsides. It kind of blew my mind. That's how well he knew that play.
So when do we have the conversation? I'm going to hit back to Brandon Walker's tweet last night. Okay, yeah. Brandon Walker, and then I'm going to bring it back to that in a second here. Okay, but first of all, we have to realize that the Hurricanes had 166 yards of offense and a defense that had 3 sacks as well as the pick six. Okay, with an Ohio State team that only allowed a .85 sacks all year per game. Okay, so we bring it back to that conversation. Is this a situation? Here's exactly what Brandon Walker tweeted last night. Now we have the Ohio State conversation. They started the season scoring 14 versus Texas, ended with 10 versus Indiana, 14 versus Miami. In between, they played 10 nobodies. These huge conferences are allowing teams to fraud their way through a season, and they look pretty dang fake tonight.
Is that not something I brought up yesterday?
Yeah, we've been talking about that all year.
I read off like 5 or 6 games in a row.
Well, and that's the SEC conversation. And now the Big Ten, all their fans want to hit back and say, hey, look, you guys are, X and X in bowl games, 2 and whatever, 6.
Hey, it's 3 now.
2 and 6, whatever it is now.
Yeah.
3. Okay. They want to hit on and say that, yet they're the ones that want to talk about strength of schedule.
Right. Well, they wanted to talk about all year. You heard people talk about, the Big Ten, the top of the Big Ten is better than the SEC. Then the SEC as whole is the middle is better, significantly better. Well, that's showing now that these teams didn't actually play anybody throughout the season. How good is Indiana? How good is Ohio State when the best team that they've played each other is Indiana and Ohio State? Like you said, they started the season off. Archie Manning, let's take 17 seconds and talk about that kid. Looked amazing yesterday. He had a 60-yard run up the middle that multiple running backs in the SEC would have been proud of.
Yep.
Well, were we a year off on Arch?
Quite possible.
I think everybody around the country was about a year off.
It's not a year off.
I'll
He
even
just gained
say
experience.
No. What we're saying is we expect Arch to have this phenomenal year this year. We thought he was going to be the best quarterback come in at his age in a long time. We expected him. I don't think he's eligible for the draft yet either way.
No, he's coming back.
He has to come back.
Coming back.
Okay, but we thought we would see that complete breakout season in 2 years of a phenomenal Arch Manning. And we didn't really get that this year, but we saw glimpses of what could happen with a little bit development.
I'll argue we were 5 weeks off.
Yeah.
We weren't a year off. We were 5 weeks off. They play Ohio State week 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking a completely different season. I think it's week 3 or 4. Texas goes in there and beats them. Ohio's not the number 1 team all season.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is. Okay, maybe they still get beat by Florida in some fluke game, which happens. It's happened to Alabama. It's happened to Georgia. It's happened to everybody. At some point in time, you lose to a team you're not supposed to.
So let's talk real quick. Carl and John joining us this morning in the comments.
Good morning, fellas.
I think Carl has a great point, and it was brought up during last night's game. Ohio State had too much downtime, 0-5 for playoff bye teams.
Yes,
these teams hadn't played in a month.
Right, 25. Right? It was 25 days, I think.
Yeah. I mean, so is that the case? Does Indiana and I guess it would be Georgia suffer from this today?
We also had to have the conversation of Big Ten school just lost to an ACC school. We talked about the whole year how weak the ACC is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're looking at it in a sense of how good is the Big Ten really? Okay, I didn't get it. We just looked at Indiana, and now we're grading Indiana against their performance against Ohio State. Are we leveraging the SEC better than the ACC? Right. If that's the case, is the wrong team favored against Indiana?
Well, I'll go with this. You brought up the point about 25 days of rest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If Alabama beats last year, we saw what happened with putting Boise State and was it Arizona State?
Yes,
that was the 4th seed.
Yeah, running back.
And so they immediately was like, next year just 1 through 12.
Yeah,
we're not doing this. You buys have to go to conference.
Seeding was messed up, and that was the first excuse for it. Seeding was messed up.
So if let's say Alabama goes in and beats Indiana today, Ole Miss beats Georgia, and Oregon beats Texas Tech, meaning all 4 of the bye teams for the second year in a row lose.
Yeah.
Are we then going to have the conversation about we got to go to 16 because this 25 days of rest is way too much?
Yeah, I think the committee's reaction will be that. I mean, I don't think you can't lie about data. If these bye teams go 0-8 in the first 2 years of this expanded playoffs, the committee's going to have no choice but to respond to that. And we've said it too many times, especially talking about this Alabama-Indiana game. Hi, I'm Indiana. I'm the number 1 team in the country. I just won the Big Ten championship. Now I get a month off, and I get to go out west, play a ball game, Rose Bowl. Awesome, cool. But what happens to those teams in this time off?
And one thing, unfortunately, I don't think it's up to the committee. I don't think it's up to the committee. It's up to the conference commissioners and the big money, the ESPNs of the world, the Foxes of the world, of whether or not we expand to 16 or how the buys with the schedule, how it changes and everything. I could see them saying, "Hey, this there's obviously something wrong." Even if they go 7-1, if Georgia still beats, because they're just going to say, "Oh well, it's Ole Miss. They're without their head coach. It's that was the fluke of the 8 or whatever." But I mean, I could see. I mean, if I call you in 12 hours and I go, Alabama beat Indiana, Georgia beat Ole Miss, and Oregon beat Texas Tech, are you at all shocked?
No.
No.
And I think we're actually in a more normal world of nothing really has to change drastically at this moment, because 2 of the 3 of those teams you just labeled have the bye.
Right.
That win. Okay.
Right.
But I also want to hit back on a point you made earlier in the season, and you've been pushing for the what I call the NIT of college football.
Right. Yep.
In my opinion, has kind of shifted in a way of, now that we've seen these games, we saw the games in the first round, we saw how bad those group of 6 teams lost. I think I've shifted to the point of, I think we do need a tournament of that sort for the group of 6 teams, but we have to have a real world conversation. There has to be an incentive for those teams to be able to jump up in the future to be able to join that. Okay. So the money, has to be there for this type of tournament to take place. If we want to see the James Madisons and the Tulanes of the world, the money has to be there in that tournament, so you can give the money back to that program, so that James Madison or that Tulane in just a couple of years can jump up into a spot to a Big 12, to a Big 10, to an ACC conference.
And I think there's an easy solution to that. I really and truly do. I honestly 100% think we're going to 16. I will be flabbergasted. My guests will be flabbered if we don't go to 16. And it could be by midnight tonight, and I wouldn't be shocked. If my thought would be, you take the only way you're guaranteed a spot in is if you are a conference champion and you're ranked in the top 20. I don't care if there's 8 conference champions ranked in the top 20. They are 8 of the 16 teams.
I mean, that's kind of what Nick's been saying. Right. Nick's been saying top 15.
Right. Top.
Well,
you're outside. He's saying 15 for 12.
Yeah.
I'm saying 20 for 16.
Yeah.
So that's kind of very similar. But then I can look at you, James Madison, and go, hey, you've got an option. You can either go to Indiana and play in the first round at Indiana, or you can be the 1 seed in the, as you so eloquently put it, the NIT of football, and host at your own place. Now, yeah, you could go to Indiana and you're probably going to make, what do they make? $5 million per school if you make the playoff. Hey, but the NIT, you're going to get $4 million per game. So if you host and you win, you got $4 million, which is less than the 5.
But you have to, you have to create that incentive so that those teams who have the opportunity to go play, they still will have because you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit if you don't do this. You have to give the team, still have the group of 6 teams the opportunity to play within the CFP. You have to still have that. But if you create a leverage or create some kind of incentive for the schools to tell their players, hey, we need to be in this tournament right now, because if we go play in the CFP, we're going to get killed. We're going to get hurt. Okay. And we're going to lose. And feeling bad for James Madison and Tulane, they're both great teams. The talent's just not there for it to play in the CFP. Okay.
Congratulations. You got $5 million.
Yes.
You got your butt kicked. Or you could have hosted a game, got $4 million, and played a second game and got another $4 million, and possibly played a third game and got another. So now you got $12 million, or let's say it's 3, versus 5 for the big boys. So it's 3, 6, 9. But okay, if you want to take the chance to go up to Indiana, the number 1 team, because you're the 16 seed, and you're going to get $5 million. Hey, yeah, if you beat Indiana, you then get to go to Georgia and play and get another $5 million.
So this is trending toward conference relegation and what's the other word I'm looking for? Relegation and like the soccer leagues. Like the soccer leagues, right? And it tends toward that direction, which I wanted to stay away from. But honestly, you look toward the landscape of college football, that doesn't sound so bad right now.
You would have to, if you go to that, you would have to drastically change the scheduling, because there would have to be some sort of way to actually verify you are a top ranked team. You are a second second level team. And if you fall in this bottom enough as a top ranked team and you're up at the top of the second ranked teams at some point in time, James Madison could take Vandy's place.
All right. I'm going to bring you guys back, man. I'm going to bring you back, guys, back to this game. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about the college football playoff once this season is over and how the structures and the what ifs. I got a question for both of you. What surprised you about last night's game? What were some of those key differentiators that we may have talked about before that surprised you about the game last night?
To me, I think the key differentiator in the game, it really struck the side of, and it really, punched the heart out of Ohio State trying to claw their way back into this game was the sacks. I think the sacks was the biggest outlier. I mean, you have a team in Ohio State that only, average 0.85 sacks a game given up.
Almost one sack. That's it.
Less than one. Yeah.
And Miami goes in there in the first half and gets 3 sacks on them. I think that was the biggest differentiator in the game.
-1 yard rushing at one point. Ohio did.
-3 going into the second half.
Yeah.
That's what the difference. It kind of sounded like Alabama there for a minute with the amazing Ohio State football team, right?
We knew going in that Miami's defensive line was really good.
Yeah.
I think I was even surprised at how, like you said, sacks. It wasn't just the sacks. It was the absolute inability to run the ball at all at the beginning of the game, for sure. I mean, if not for a fumble at the 15-yard line, we're not talking about a 14-0 game. We're talking about a 21-0 game. And it's turn out the lights, the party's over. Let's go on home. Let's switch the channel over to Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve real early last night, which is a whole nother story. But what shocked me was even when there was still a chance, you started seeing Ohio State fans leaving the stadium.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And it just looked like somebody had gone and just taken the oxygen out of the entire state of Ohio and went on with their day. Like there was we're losing. I guess we'll go home now.
What shocked me the most is, I've been very critical of Ohio State all year long. But watching the maturity of stepping up in that second half, making that comeback. Okay, that kind of shocked me because I didn't think he had it in him, especially with reference, Kelsey, what you were talking about, those sacks. He was getting heavy pressure.
And he got lit up multiple times that game. I was surprised Sayin didn't leave that game multiple times.
There was one hit in the first half.
He hit the back of his helmet on on the ground, and it looked like, okay, here we go. Looks like Sayin's coming.
And another thing that surprised me too, and it was an SEC officiating crew last night. And how many penalties total?
2 flags.
2 flags, and one was, turned down or whatever. But 2 flags, 2 penalties for the entire football game. And it was very handsy. I mean, you were watching those Indiana and those Ohio State defensive backs. Their hands are all over the receivers. At another point in the year, those would have been called pass interference.
Absolutely, especially by an SEC crew.
Yeah.
I think one thing that Miami realized, so – you said Sayin came out in the second half. I think that Day did a great job at halftime.
Yeah.
And Sayin just could not finish it. And what happened is Miami, like you're talking about without the penalties, they realized, boys, go hit them. Because that second half, there was one hit. It looked like Goldberg from WrestleMania 2006. I mean, he picked him up, wrapped him, threw him through the ground, and it was like, okay, they're playing big boy football right now. And there was no penalty, there was no, roughing, there was no, personal fouls. It was a very clean. You're right, there was some handsy, but it was a very clean game.
Yeah, I mean, there was one, and Kelsey referenced it too, a couple of helmets to helmets, and even the announcers last night were saying, man, those officials are letting it go. And then there was also one in the first half where they reviewed a call real quick on a first down. I thought, oh man, here we go. It's going to be one of those games all night long. But no, I mean, no flags. The second half, you got a couple of flags. Even the one holding call that was called.
Yeah.
I looked at that and going, where's the hold? But I was really surprised, especially since it was an SEC officiating crew.
I wonder if that is, if there was a phone call made about these playoff games with,
Yeah.
hey, because Pat McAfee said this morning, I don't know if you heard him, he was talking to the White Hat, and his exact quote was, "No one paid to come see us." And he said Pat McAfee was in the second half. The White Hat was like, when the kickoff, the White Hat's in like the very back of the end zone, and Pat and the boys, AJ and all of them, they're always in that back of the end zone. He literally said this morning on game day, he said, I looked at the White Hat and said, no penalty so far, good game, and like made a point to say, so maybe there's been a phone call.
Yeah.
How does that affect? Does that affect Alabama, Indiana? Does that affect Georgia, Ole Miss?
Yeah.
So, okay, with that being said, Tom, looking one more comment about last night's game, Kels. I mean, what do you feel Miami's got to do to keep that momentum going?
You have to keep that pressure and let the defense keep doing what they did last night. Because if they can do that against Ohio State, from what we know, right, they can they have the defensive ability to do that on top of the experience of Carson Beck, okay, the Malachi Tonys of the world, okay, the running situation that Miami has. They're a good team, a really good team. We knew that the physicality going into the game against Ohio State was going to be a big upmark for them. That was going to be their capability to go forward and really make a good game out of it. So for me, I think Miami really showed, they beat my favorite in Texas A&M to win the whole thing. Okay. Now they're going to go out and beat many other favorites in Ohio State, a team that was the defending national champion. Okay. So there's nothing saying right now that Miami has no shot of winning this thing. They are probably the hottest team I would look toward moving forward into the CFP. We talk about when teams peak, when teams get hot. Okay, Miami is that team right now. They're peaking. They're hot. Ohio State did this last year. I think Miami, hottest team right now.
Real quick, I got to make one comment, Rich. I know you're gonna follow up your response to that. What do you think Notre Dame fans are thinking right now?
Absolutely, they're hating life.
Yes.
So, I think there's two answers to that question. If Ole Miss wins today, you are 100% correct, what you just said. Go out there, keep the pressure up, just play the ball game. Just play the same ball game you just played, and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Georgia, you rewind to last week's game day when Nick Saban looked into the camera and said, the thing that these kids care about more today is being disrespected. And you just let Carson Beck go out there and look at the jerseys that's on the other side of the field and tell him, go win us a ball game. And, who in the right mind would have, I mean, right now, Georgia would probably be a 7-8 point favorite over Miami in the next round. That didn't bother them last night.
Think about this. I think about how wrong Vegas got last night's game. It was a 9-point Ohio State favorite.
Yeah, it was 10 points the other way. It's 19. That's a 19-point difference.
Yeah. I mean, and Vegas doesn't get it wrong that often. So that just tells you a little bit about this Miami team and what they're doing and what Cristobal, right?
Yeah.
Mario Cristobal.
Yeah. I mean, again, who's it? Saban legacy, Saban coaching tree.
Well, I'll bring it back to the game we got talked about today.
Yeah.
Vegas has it, Indiana -7. We just watched the best team Indiana's played all season get beat by Miami, a team that, unless BYU loses, isn't even in this tournament.
Well, and that's my whole question about the whole thing. We are so far deep into the season, okay? We are next year at this point. We're sitting here on New Year's Day in 2026, okay? And we're still looking at teams and saying, are they really that good? How good are they? I know they're number 1 and 2 in the country, but who have they played?
Right.
And the problem is with the Big Ten schools, okay, they play a week out of conference schedule, okay?
Yep.
Ohio State played, Texas, I get that, okay? But the best wins, we want to go and look at their best wins. I'm looking at, Indiana, their best wins are Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, okay? And we're looking at them, okay, Penn State had a rough year. They ended out good, okay? But Oregon, we don't know who they really played. They didn't have a good schedule. Okay, so we're still sitting here and questioning because now that the ACC is winning in Miami. Okay, now we're going to sit here and question. So, does Indiana really deserve that number 1 weight ranking? Does Oregon really deserve that ranking that they have? Because it's just in some world, we're still sitting here saying, I got questions. I got a lot of questions. And Oregon, I specifically have questions for. If they go out there and lose to Texas Tech, a Big 12 school, after we're looking, Texas Tech is another school that we're looking at like, how good are they really? Because they played the schedule and they dominated the Big 12. But we really didn't see a sample size from them anywhere else. We don't know how good they are outside of the Big 12.
The only argument I have against that,
Yeah.
and I was literally pulling it up is because I felt this coming. They beat BYU twice. Didn't just beat BYU. Absolutely told BYU to go home.
A Big 12 school, though.
Right. But BYU just beat Georgia Tech, who is the second best ACC team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my argument about the way the bowls have set up and everything. BYU, it worked because only one Big 12 team got in, one ACC team got in. So the bowl system works for them. The number two played the number two. The number two. And Georgia Tech or BYU beat Georgia Tech. It was a great game. I think when we sit there and talk about it, Oregon's best game all season was against Indiana, and they lost. Ohio State's best game all season was against Indiana, and they lost. It does that show anything? And if we the same phone call in 12 hours, Alabama beats Indiana, Texas Tech beats Oregon. Are we still having a conversation in 6 months, 9 months from now about how much better the Big Ten is than everybody else? Or does that even give more clarity to going to 16 because we have to have more ACC teams in? We have to have more Big Ten teams in.
You guys always want to come back to that conversation.
Well, and my question mark is, we're about to move on here in a second, because we do have to move on. We only got half an hour here left.
We're back to the playoff.
Okay.
Picture. Yeah.
Well, and I've forgotten my question in this whole thing.
Well, the reason I go back to the playoffs is that's what the whole season is about. The whole season is at the end, you hold up the trophy. If you're in the NFL, you make the playoffs, you make the Super Bowl, you hold up the trophy. You're in college football, you win your conference champion, you go to the playoff, you hold up the trophy. That's to quote a great man, you play to win the game. And to win the game means you win the championship, which means you go to the tournament. That's why I think you have to go to 16 so that we really, truly get the best teams on the field every year.
I'm with you. All right. So moving on today, we do have a lot more games to talk about. Of course, Georgia, Ole Miss, Indiana, Alabama, and Oregon and Texas Tech. 3 big games we still have to talk about. I think we go Alabama, Indiana last. So if we still want to jump on the the Oregon and Texas Tech game, this game historically in this, this is the Texas first college football playoff appearance. The school's best season ever. Got the Big 12 title. Indiana, Texas Tech, same realm, I guess, first time here, all that good stuff. This is a game of one of the best offenses in the country, and I think one of the best defenses in the country. Texas Tech, Jacob Rodriguez, leader, they lead the nation, in points allowed. Only 2.9 points per game. One of the top rushing defenses in the country, but Oregon averages well under 450 yards a game, and they have a top-tier rushing game on top of that. Elite fronts, explosive offense. This is a game where it's going to clash. Who wins the trenches in this battle? Because one side is really good at one thing and the other side is really good at one thing as well. But there's also weaknesses in this game as well.
Correct. When it comes down to this, I think you're very true. Texas Tech's defense, Oregon's offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch when they're on the field. There's going to be that battle back and forth on the offensive and defensive line, very similar to what we saw last night with Miami and Ohio State. My difference in this game would be whose second is better. Is Texas Tech's offense better than Oregon's defense? And I think that's going to be the biggest difference in this game. Is I think Texas Tech can actually score with Oregon is on a normal, statistics, but I think Texas Tech's defense is going to be where they show up.
So there's a couple of key, what I'm calling hidden stats in this game. Oregon ranks 122nd in red zone defense.
How many teams are there?
100 and
31. I think it's 131, 133. So
so they're close to the bottom of the country in that. Opponents score about roughly 90% of the time inside in the 20-yard line. Texas Tech leads the nation in turnover margin. If Texas Tech can force turnovers, okay, if they're inside the top 20, they're scoring.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much no matter what. Okay.
So,
unless you have that 10% odds kick in.
I love that linebacker for Texas Tech,
Jacob
Rodriguez. He's 7 forced fumbles this year. All the stats that go with it. Okay. But Texas Tech has played Utah and BYU as their ranked teams all year. You might lead the nation in something, but when you're playing teams like Kent State, Oregon State, Houston, UCF, West Virginia, okay, and Texas Tech has won their games big. I mean, they put up some points, 62, 45, 49.
They're putting Alabama 2020 numbers up.
They are. They're putting big time scores. But they're not playing a top 25 schedule. Okay?
Yes, but
so when you're playing a team like Oregon today, okay, I really like it. Now, when we get to the pick'ems or whatever, okay, you're going to see my love for Texas Tech in this football game. But think about Oregon. Oregon has their 2 receivers back today. Okay, I think one receiver got like 20 snaps last game. The other one had like 8 snaps. They didn't put up big numbers, but they've had a little bit of time off. Okay. So you're talking about that explosive Oregon offense. Let's see how this Texas Tech defense holds up to that offense with their receivers back.
I want to hit back to the narrative of I'm sitting here still questioning Oregon's strength of schedule.
I pulled that up. I'll be glad to tell you. Montana State.
Yeah, here we go.
Oklahoma State, who was absolutely trash this year.
So we got a common opponent. We got a common opponent. What was the score with Oregon and Oklahoma State?
69-3.
Okay, Texas Tech beat them 42-0. Okay,
so they won the Penn State game, which was what caused the downfall of Penn State. It was overtime, 30-24. That was the downfall. Indiana. Then the following week, they got a bye, and then the week later is when they played Indiana at home and lost 30-20. Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, the next best game they played, 18-16.
Ooh, tough game. That was Oregon.
Minnesota, USC, Oregon, and then James Madison. They still gave up 34 points to James Madison. I know a lot of that was in garbage time at the end.
Yeah, they pulled their starters.
Still 34. It's still 51-34.
Yeah.
But again, I think the question still lies is how good is Oregon? And it sucks that we're sitting here questioning that toward the end of the season because they haven't played great opponents. Okay. Oregon's not the worst of the worst around the country.
Absolutely not.
Okay. They have an okay schedule. I'm not saying that they have the worst schedule ever. Okay. But I don't know how good the rankings are relative to how the strength of schedule levels up between Oregon and Texas Tech. In the end, I actually think this is a phenomenal matchup of two, growing powerhouses that in the end are really good teams, but they just haven't played other teams that are relative enough to their potential or strength on that team, the talent within the organization. So I think that, in the end, this game is going to be a game of matchups, and it's going to be a very leveled out, talented playing field. But the problem is whoever gets past this game, I think it's exposed in the next round.
So obviously a question that we need to dig into on another day when we have more time is how do we solve? You're right. It's January 1st January 1st. We've played how many games of football this season? How do we fix that problem where we are questioning whether or not Oregon and Ohio State and Indiana are even worth being here? What's the fix?
You have to do what the SEC is doing, where you have to have another group of 5 opponent within your out-of-conference scheduling.
But they did. Ohio State played Texas. Oregon played Oklahoma State. It was probably scheduled a million years ago.
5 years ago.
When Gruden was still a man and still 45.
So you're saying we need to schedule games, and actually, I think that's a great mantra. Schedule games 5 years out rather than these 22-year advances of scheduling where the AD is not even going to be there, might not even be alive in 22 years to see the game.
Right. Can I bring up something here?
Yeah.
You know, and we've been talking about how the Big Ten's strength of schedule all year long, right? Talking about how weak it is. All right. If you take the top 4 teams in the Big Ten, that would be Ohio State this year, that would be Indiana, that would be Iowa, and that would be Oregon. Okay.
Iowa or Michigan.
Okay. And here's my piece. How many times have those teams played each other this year?
I believe the answer is
0.
Well, Indiana played Oregon.
Well, in Indiana played Ohio State in the Big Ten.
But as far as regular season, the only one was Indiana, Oregon.
But that's my beef with the Big Ten. Okay, and we're talking about how those schools specifically have played the bottom tier of the Big Ten all year long.
Right.
Okay, and they're not playing each other. Like Bama is playing Georgia, like Texas is playing Georgia, like Ole Miss is playing Georgia. Okay. Like, look at Florida's schedule. They're playing everybody.
Well, it's an even bigger problem is how bad the rest of the Big Ten is.
Yeah, and that's the issue. That's why the SEC, that's why we have some – you're seeing us wear Alabama gear this morning because it's game day, right? But you're talking about the level of consistency and just pure – college football in the SEC of playing each other and beating each other up every year.
So let's just assume, okay, that the rankings don't lie right now and we're actually seeing the true test of Oregon and Texas Tech, okay? Let's assume that for the time being.
Yep.
From what we know on this game, Oregon has been elite all season on offense.
Correct.
Yeah.
Elite, they have been on offense all season, okay? But the defense they're about to face is on another level.
Correct.
From what we have seen with our naked eye is from a raw standpoint, if you take strength of schedule out of the mix and the rankings don't lie, these are truly 2 teams that deserve to be here that are at this point. The rankings are right where they're supposed to be. This defense of Texas Tech should go out there and put a hurting on this elite offensive Oregon.
Absolutely. They should. If what you're saying is correct, they absolutely should. And I think what comes down to the end is if Oregon puts up 30 points on this defense, are we then having this conversation the other way about how bad the Big 12 is?
Yeah.
Or if this final score is 32-0 Texas Tech.
Well, and this is the first time we've seen this from the Big 12 where a team goes out there and actually drills every other team within the Big 12. Usually it's a flip-flop contest of because Arizona State, Arizona State last year was picked to finish last within the Big 12 and then won the whole dang thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's usually what we see from the Big 12. So this new Texas Tech, better than every team in the Big 12, that's new to us. That's new to everybody around the country. Okay, so
a lot of money paid to be that good.
Yeah, I mean,
that's money. Sweatshop money versus oil money.
Yeah, I mean,
out of it.
There's a lot more money in oils than there is sweatshops.
You know, and I do want to come back real quick. We look at the rankings right now. You know about the Big Ten specifically. You know, 1 Indiana, 2 Ohio State. Ohio State's now out of the picture, and then you got 5 Oregon. So you got the 1, 2, and 5 ranked team in the country out of the Big Ten. Okay, hey, high five to them. But I still have to come back to that strength of schedule and the teams that they're playing all year. You look at Indiana, okay? Indiana, they're out of conference games were all within the state of Indiana.
Right.
We talked about that last night. It just these rankings, it's like, how do you reseed these guys maybe once they go into the playoff, you know? But when you're undefeated, when you haven't lost a game, high five to Indiana, they're 13-0. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And, you know, you can say the same thing about Oregon and Texas Tech. You look at their schedules. They've played the Kennesaw States and they've played the Montana State and all these other schools all year long. And they're both 12-1. And so you got a really good matchup at the first game, the big game today at number 5 and number 4. You got a really good matchup to kick off today's college football playoff games.
You do. Okay. All right, guys, real quickly before we move on to the other games here, go check out Facebook. Go look at our Pick'ems contest. We got that posted just like every week. You can see there. You can go leave a comment. Tell us what you're doing. You're picking with the spread or just up to up. What team are you picking? You can pick your favorite team. What team you think you're going to win is going to win in those ball games over there. So go check it out at Facebook at Off the Bench. I cannot speak.
Off the bench.
Off the bench. And you could go check it out there. It'll be, just a little fun to have.
And while you're there, like the Facebook page. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notification. Wow, you have messed.
I'm getting everybody right here, man.
Hit the bell for notifications.
You guys need me to do this one?
Apparently.
The last one, hope we have here.
Yeah,
Of actually being able to speak on this program.
Like and subscribe, guys. We
Hit
need
the bell
all
for
the support we can get through 2026.
New
2025 was an awesome year for this radio show. We say radio show because every Saturday morning we're live on 103.9 Jocks Huntsville here in Northern Alabama. And what you guys see online right now, yesterday's show, today's show, it's obviously on YouTube Live. Thanks for joining us. I think today we've had more viewers.
We did. I think at some point we had a big.
And I know we still got
audience.
20 minutes to go, but hey, keep those comments coming in. Appreciate John and Carl for making the comments online. Lynn, aka Uncle Carl, shout out to him up in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And we need to set like one of those crazy subscriber goals. By the end of the year, we want to hit like 1 million subscribers or something. Like we need to hit.
It's a stretch. I don't see this realistic right now. I think we go for 500 this year.
Okay,
let's get it. Let's play conservative.
You gotta get. You gotta have 500 to get to 1 million.
We need a couple
That's
of
right
sponsors too, so we can start doing sponsored ads on Facebook. Hint, hint to a couple of folks that we've done live shows for this year. But all right, Kelsey, we got 20 minutes left in this live stream.
2 bowl games left,
Yep.
20 minutes left, plus Pickens at the end here. So number 3, Georgia, number 6, Ole Miss going head to head in this one. Part 2.
I don't have a reason to think anything's going to be different than the first time.
Oh, I do, man.
No, I'm kind of with Richie on this one, Pops. I don't think there is a real reason to say flip this. There's been too much instability for Ole Miss since this last game. There's been so much changeover for Ole Miss. It's not the opposite way. When it comes down to this game, not much is different. Okay, Weiss is still calling the offense for Ole Miss. Okay, that's not Kiffin's offense. It's Weiss's offense.
Right.
And Weiss will go with his merry way and go down to Baton Rouge at the end of this season when Ole Miss is eliminated or wins the whole thing, whatever it be, right? And that would be something.
So
Pete Golden took it all the way. And
here's
that
the
would be
difference
something.
between that tight game, that game we saw earlier in this year that came down to the wire. The difference is the maturity of Georgia's defense. Okay, that is a totally different defense.
Oh yeah,
that gave up 38 points earlier this year.
Sorry, we thought you were fixing to go Ole Miss on us. Though.
No.
You're saying it's going to be more of a blowout.
I think it's going to be Georgia.
Okay.
That number 3 SEC team is going to step up today. I never say this, okay? I'm not, me. I like to make fun of people who sit in the Angel Share Garage Bar and root for Georgia.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
I'm not going to say any names right now. But he's living back in Georgia now, but but I really think that Bulldog defense has stepped up. You saw what they did to Bama in the SEC championship. You look at the defense in comparison. Let's look at the game. They gave up 38 points, I think, in the first matchup. Okay. They shut down Bama in the SEC championship. That defense, those defensive backs, those linebackers have found a way to step up. They're going to stop the run. If Ole Miss tries to run, Ole Miss is going to have to throw the ball downfield. And I think those DBs are going to step up.
Look, I mean, on this side as well, I mean, the only really stat that I can pull away that could separate this game is offensive yards a game overall wise. Okay. And Georgia averaging 406, 46 in the country. Ole Miss averaging 498. That's second in the country. That's the only real stat that I can pull and say Ole Miss has an advantage there. But then I got to look at Georgia's elite defense, which Ole Miss is not playing week in and week out.
Yeah.
Okay. They're playing SEC defenses. They're good defenses, but they're not Georgia's defense week in and week out. Georgia's defensive yards gained allowed is 284, which is 12th in the country.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man.
So I can't sit here and say that, they are a really good team, limited explosive plays. They're really good at run stopping. Ole Miss on the other side, they're elite on total offensive scoring, but it's cancellation after cancellation.
I just want to say, you guys sit there and said 2 minutes ago that you don't see any differences between these teams.
100%.
Right?
There's not really a huge difference between the Georgia Ole Miss or the Georgia defensive side. Okay. They have matured. You're right on that one. Okay. The major difference in this that I will sit here and say and harp on I trust Kirby Smart and his coaching staff more than I trust Pete Golding and his very limited, well, not limited, very what's the best word for this? Very interim
I was gonna say in flux.
coaching staff. Well, influx. It's very band-aided right now. Band-aided.
Well, what I meant by I don't see much of a difference in this game is I don't see a difference in the outcome. I think Georgia wins was what I was trying to get to. Do I think it's going to be some 34-30 type game? No. I think this is going to be significantly closer to a 32-14 game. I think the only way that this game is not just a complete, like, hurting is if Ole Miss comes out and does what Miami did last night and hit them with the 1-2 punch off the bell ding. And that would put, Ole Miss up, and then Georgia has to fight back and then try to win.
I hope that happens. I hope it's a competitive game, man. I loved last night's football game, but I just feel that, just feel it, right?
Yeah.
Georgia's defense is going to step up, and I also think there's a number 2 differentiator in this game, and I think it's Gunnar Stockton. Okay, he has matured throughout the year. He's got more comfortable running that offense. He's taken some big hits this year, but it seems like in the last couple of games, you saw Alabama could not get any pressure on him. Okay, with Alabama's defense. Okay, everybody likes to talk about how good Alabama's defense is, but even with that Alabama front seven and those defensive backs, they couldn't get any pressure on Gunnar. So I really feel that you got 2 differentiators in this game, and that's that defense and Gunnar Stockton.
And I would just love to see Miami, Georgia in the next round. I'm just going to be completely honest.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, I've been with you there too, but I do think that the most explosive player in this game, and this is where I'll give Ole Miss credit in this game, the most explosive, high-ceiling player in this whole game is Trinidad Chambliss.
Absolutely.
He is the player that completely can go above and beyond and completely change this game the second time around for Ole Miss. But I just do not trust the Ole Miss coaching staff enough to say I'm going to go against Kirby Smart.
You talking about LSU's next quarterback, Trinidad?
Well, it depends if he can get the waiver pass.
That's true.
Or what about Underwood or the dude from Michigan?
Well,
I thought he was
he's not in the portal. He's not in the portal, so
he's still playing.
Could be one of the 2 here.
So real quick, I want to give a shout out to at 1204 Big D, just subscribe. Well on your way this year, Roll Tide, and he's sporting that Trash Panda logo. I just wanted to throw that out there. So thanks for the subscription, man.
Roll Tide back at you. And again, moving forward, a couple more things on the agenda today. Indiana, Alabama, Rose Bowl. Could we see the magical sunset that we always see at the beautiful site in Pasadena, California? Or are we going to get cloudy weather? It seems like it's going to get sunny out there, but there's still question marks as we're still watching game day, and it does look like it's still going down out there. It could be cleared up, just cloudy. But
it looks like it's still sprinkling a
little. It's definitely a little wet out there.
You got to keep in mind, it is what time is it? It is 8:49 a.m. out there right now. Okay. Yeah. We're watching game day over here, and they're removing the tarp off the field. Really wish they'd have waited for about another hour. I was just looking at that radar. That weather is pushing off. Okay. But now you've letting the water on the field with the rain that's coming down now, and you're going to get a sloppy field.
You could get enough wind to dry it up over the next few hours, and you do have to allow the guys out there to go out there and warm up and everything. I almost bought plane tickets to fly out there. I was very close to going. The tickets for this game are dirt cheap. All 4 bowl games are dirt cheap. They actually think the Texas Tech Oregon game may not even sell out.
So the Uncle Carl called me yesterday afternoon. First thing he said, he goes, "Hey man, tickets are under $100 lower bowl right now."
Yeah. Base value is $250.
He goes, we can fly out tomorrow morning, be there by, whatever time, 11 o'clock in noon. And man, I considered it for 2 seconds. I considered it. And then I thought, you know what? That couch is calling my name. I can sit there, eat some pizza, drink some lemonade, watch the game from the comfort of my couch, throw things at the TV when I get upset. But I'm with you. I considered it for 2 seconds, but I think reality, I was like, nah, I think I'm going to enjoy the comfort of my couch watching a football game.
So I've had the pleasure of seeing 2 games at the Rose Bowl. I got to see Alabama, Texas, and I saw Auburn, Florida State.
It's definitely a venue I got to go check out when somebody else funds it.
Yeah, well,
Kelsey, you were going to say something, man.
Okay, so another visibility about this game is, again, we're going to go off this mantra of a Big Ten school who has had a weak schedule, okay? And we're going to go ahead and look over their schedule real quick and get that out of the way, okay? Old Dominion beat them 27-14. Oh, that's real darn impressive. Okay, Kennesaw State beat them 56-9. Indiana State 73-0. Illinois 63-10. At Iowa 20-15 win. Oregon 30-20 win. Michigan State 38-13 win. UCLA 56-6 win. At Maryland 55-10. At Penn State 27-24. Wisconsin 31-7. Purdue 56-3. And then Ohio State 13-10 in the Big Ten championship game. So what we have to get out of the way here is we understand, looking at the schedule, we have to do the same thing we're going to do with Oregon and Texas Tech, or we did do with them, and look at it from the naked eye view of what we do know right now, and assume the rankings are correct, and assume that we go down this hole here of saying that the rankings are right and they deserve to be where they're at. So assuming that is the case, and looking at this game, we're looking at the number 2 passing rating team in the country at 129.8 with Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers. The number 5, a top 5 scoring defense in the country at 10.8 points per game. Fumbles lost is the fewest in the FBS with 1 for Indiana. Third best nationally in run defense at 77.6 yards per game. How much does this take effect when playing an Alabama team who has not really dominated throughout the year and have seen downward spirals throughout the year and jump back up and down, Jekyll and Hyde type of team, but now with a team that, like Oregon, fully rested up back to probably the healthiest they have been all season? How much can we really take of the Indiana scoring categories and say, this is going to be in a huge effect, and this is a show-stopping hidden stat that we look at and say, that's how they beat Alabama?
Well, I will tell you this. One of the greatest quotes I've ever heard about football was, on paper, Indiana should win. Historically, Alabama should win. It's a good thing we didn't play this yesterday on paper. It's going to be on the field. And if that team in Indiana, the Hoosiers, the new, what was it? New standard
college football.
If they are, Mendoza comes out there and throws for 250, 300, and that defense just shuts down Ty Simpson and all that wide receiving core that Alabama has, and 12 hours from now we're talking about how Indiana just absolutely put a whooping on them. All those stats you just said are completely true.
Well, I mean, this game, the number one thing I'd put on this game is defense versus skill. Okay, if we're looking at Indiana's defense, we can look, we're sitting there and saying, with the talent they face, but we're still sitting here and saying they're elite. Okay, especially stopping the run, limiting big plays. It's a core reason why they're the number 1 team in the country right now. Okay, but from an Alabama roster perspective, they can flip the field position with big plays, but they can also limit turnover. But it needs to limit they need to limit turnovers in this game. Okay, so the question I have: can Alabama find rhythm without forcing too many risky plays? Because Indiana's defense will cash in on those mistakes.
I've been holding the stat all day. Alabama has 14 5-star recruits going to be on the sideline in Pasadena today.
Yeah.
You know how many Indiana has?
0.
Same number of 5-star recruits that are sitting in this garage right now, which is not a single one. You can be all, what was it? The X's and O's, it comes down to Jimmys and Joes, and my Jimmys are better than your Joes. I don't get it. I watched Ohio State just get absolutely beat on all aspects of the game last night by Miami that's not even supposed to be in this tournament. That was in an ACC that was so down all year that we made jokes about, Duke making the championship game. I don't see it. It could be my crimson colored glasses in in the Rose Bowl. It's in the song. I don't think they have the players to stop this team.
I'm with you too. I'm with you on that angle. I think that I think the amount of skill players on Alabama compared to the amount of skill players on Indiana, I think that is one of the huge difference makers in this game, especially when the lights are bright. We're looking at playoff style football. We're in a bowl game, right? All these things coming together. Who are the differences in the players in this game?
I think Ryan Williams steps up, man.
Is it okay? And that's how we put this. Okay, is it Ryan Williams? Is it Isaiah Horton? Is it Jeremy Bernard? Is it Daniel Hill? Is it Jam Miller? Is it Caden Proctor?
I'd love.
Okay, is it Ty Simpson?
I sit there and I say Ryan Williams was my first response. I think it's Ty Simpson. He's got to be a differentiator in this game.
And we've got a bunch of California boys on that team that got to go home today.
The two players on Alabama that I would set apart and as say they're the difference makers in this game before I'm watching the game. There's two players on defense that I want to look for that could control the style of this game. Because if they can stop this methodical possession football that Indiana likes to play on offense,
very true.
There's two players that can do it. Bray Hubbard, Xavier Brown.
Xavier Brown.
The deuce is loose.
That dude knows where the football is going, and if he can get close to it, he's taking it to the house the other way.
That's exactly right. So,
hey, Kelsey, you got 2 minutes, baby.
2 minutes here. Okay. This is going to be a grinded out game. It's going to be a fun way to watch. And the takeaway lines that I would say for this, and then we'll go into pick'ems. We'll go a little bit of an overtime for pick'ems here. The takeaway lines that I would say for this, if Alabama controls temporarily, this game is going to stay competitive. I think Alabama has to control that tempo. They have to take it away from Indiana, okay? But if Indiana dictates possession and keeps drives long, Alabama could get in some trouble here, okay? The matchup is almost as much about philosophy as it is execution. So the philosophy has to be there to start before you can execute in this game. And those teams, it's going to be a turnover battle. It's going to be a battle on the fronts. It's going to be a battle everywhere on that field. We look at the differences in numbers between the quarterbacks. You can sit there and confidently say this is one of the best quarterback matchups we've seen all years based on level-wise. So as we watch game day sitting at the pick'ems they're doing, it's a great time for us to get into pick'ems as well, because I think this is going to be a phenomenal game.
All right. You want to pick all three, the three big ones?
Pick the three big ones. Let's go for it.
Let's start with Georgia, Ole Miss. Georgia -6.5 tonight, 7:00, the Sugar Bowl.
There's not as much of a difference in this game for Ole Miss that I can sit here and confidently say that I don't think Georgia will lose this game. There's just not enough as a difference of what we've seen from the last game to this time, enough in Ole Miss's favor to sit there and say that Ole Miss can come out with a win. Give me Georgia in this matchup.
Pops.
You've heard me say it already. I think Georgia's defense is really taking it to the next step, especially the second half of the season. And I also think Gunnar Stockton has matured as a quarterback, as a young quarterback, and stepping up. Georgia's got to get its running game going. Okay, they really do, but I'll take Georgia. I'll take Georgia by 8 +8 on this.
Okay, I have to completely agree with you, boys. I like I said earlier, I think Georgia's ready to be dominant in this game and send the rest of LSU's players, Ole Miss's players, down to Baton Rouge.
Real quickly, Levi Massey hitting us up on YouTube in the comments section. You could do the same. So same with us right here as well. If it's Miami, Georgia, Beck will either go off or choke versus his former team.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
That's an obvious statement. He's either going to go off or he's going to choke.
It's either 300 and something yards.
I know, Levi, that seems like a very Levi that's a very Levi statement, as we would like to say here.
All right. The early game, 11 a.m. kickoff, Oregon, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is actually -1.5.
Look, we sit here and say and now that we see the Texas Tech flip on this game, we always sit here and say that defenses win championships. And Texas Tech, you have a defensive level Heisman player on that roster. You have many pieces on this defense that can sit here and say that they can completely shut down an elite offense. But that elite offense has a lot of health back, a lot of wide receivers coming back. The team is the healthiest it's been in a long time. But I just don't know how good or how elite Dante Moore will play against a defense of the stature of Texas Tech. Give me the Red Raiders in this one.
So I watched a piece on Rodriguez this morning, Texas Tech's linebacker. Something I didn't know about him. You know, he played quarterback in high school, right?
Oh, I did not know that.
And so, I mean, talking about a guy that liked to force fumbles and create turnovers for the defense. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's so good. He's reading that football. He knows where that football is going as a former quarterback. So, you know, I'll stick with it. I love his mustache. I think his mustache is awesome as well. So I'm going to stick with the Red Raiders on this. And that NIL money steps up that Texas Tech gets, and Texas Tech takes a big win.
I have flipped back and forth on this game about a dozen times in the last dozen hours. I can't tell if this the hangover, the layover, the 25 days without playing is going to hurt Texas Tech, but I just haven't seen Oregon really step up. Both of these teams, this is going to be the first time to really see them really fight it out. Give me Texas Tech. I think it's going to be close, but give me Tech. I don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Last but not least, boys, it's the Rose Bowl. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's the biggest game for us. It's Indiana, Alabama. Indiana -7.
This game, for me specifically, all right, it's a team that I've had question marks about all season in Indiana. I just don't know how good specifically they are. I know Fernando Mendoza is an amazing quarterback. He's an amazing player, but I also think he's the worst Heisman. Trophy winner of the last 10 years, possibly 20 years. You know, they had this elite defense. I haven't seen this elite defense play an elite offense, okay, besides the Oregon game, and I'm questioning how good Oregon is right now. I just don't know how good this Indiana team is, and comparatively to a very healthy, probably the most healthiest they have been all year. And Alabama. Give me the Alabama Crimson Tide.
All right, Kelsey, I think that's an obvious choice. You know, one thing I'll say about Indiana, they're 13-0 for a reason, right? They have gone out there week in, week out, played good football, played competitive football. They control the ball on third down, okay? They are, you know, like 66% third down, they're going to get it, right? But however, okay, you know, we wear this Alabama Crimson Tide gear for a reason. We are fans first. The fan in me cannot not pick Bama, but I really think that for Bama to get through this game and get the win, okay, you got to have two things. You got to have a defense that throws that punch right off the bat. Mendoza needs to hit the ground. He needs to hit the ground hard, right? And then two, you got to have Ty Simpson controlling the football game. Bama's got to flip that script. They've got to control the third downs. They've got to go 9 for 15 on third down. They cannot go 3 for 15 and win this football game. But I'll still take Bama by 10. I'll agree with Uncle Carl. Bama by 10. Bama gets it done.
Boys, I've said it all year. I'll say it one more time. Roll Tide.
Guys, you can catch us here this coming Saturday, of course, 7:70 a.m. 7:30 a.m. 103.9 FM. Jocks Huntsville will be live from 9 to 11 there. We'll be live here on YouTube from 9 to 10 a.m. As well. So, guys, thank you guys. Like, subscribe, hit that hit that notification button so you know when we'll go live next. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Roll Tide.